Welcome to the Brandtelling Podcast, where we go beyond basic branding with powerful stories as told by brand builders, owners, and founders. Now, here are your hosts, Chief Brand Teller Arthur Germain and the Brand Chef Asaf Bachman.
There's a word that strikes fear in the heart of every founder and business owner, no matter the size of your business: lawyer. Did you get a chill when I said it just now?
I felt it. It's like seeing a cop on the side of the road when you know you're driving a little too fast. That instant, paralyzing half second of overthinking.
That's a great parallel, Asaf. You know, we hate it when we see cops sitting beside the road when we're driving, but we love when we see them drive by when we're having a problem.
So you're thinking lawyers are like cops?
Kind of. You're not happy when you get an official letter demanding that you stop using an image on your website because you don't have rights, unless you're the image rights holder. Then your attorney is someone wise who knows exactly what to say and do to get you out of a jam, like Dumbledore in Harry Potter, Yoda in Star Wars, Alfred in Batman, Queen Latifah in the
Okay,
Equalizer.
all right, let's bring this home, Arthur.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about how a solid relationship with your lawyer can bring a positive impact on your brand. Welcome to the Brandtelling Podcast. I'm Arthur Germain, and with me is my co-host, Asaf, the Brand Chef Bachman.
Thank you, Arthur. Our guest today is Timothy Wan, CEO of the Wan Law Group and Smith, Carroad, Wan, and Parikh. Tim is a legal enforcer, business influencer, and most importantly, a needle mover. His practice focuses on protecting your business and making sure your outstanding debts are collected. He is the recipient of a prestigious volunteer service award from the Commercial Law League of America and the area director and chapter success coach for Long Island BNI because he just wasn't busy enough. I also learned that Tim was a former Zagat surveyor, which some of our audience may remember as the restaurant rating company.
Plus, Tim's a trained actor and has the best radio voice. He's going to outshine us both today.
Tim, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, we often start off asking our guests to explain what they do and who they serve, but you have so many different brands going on. How do you successfully manage your personal brand while wearing so many different hats?
Insanity, and I don't sleep.
There we go.
That's really what it comes down to. No, I think the biggest thing, and I think I can sum it up like this, is when I go to the grocery store, I don't walk in with blind. I don't walk in with no list. I don't even walk in with a list that I've written down. I have a whiteboard on my fridge, and anytime we run out of something or my kids say, oh, we know we need something, they write it on the whiteboard. I then transcribe it the night before in the order of the store, which I've memorized. And then once I do, you do that as well.
I do the same thing.
And that way, I can get through shopping for a family of 5 in 2 different grocery stores, the big box store and the warehouse store, and I could do it in 30 minutes and still be able to get everything that we need to get because I've managed how to figure that out. I also may drive a little further rather than going to the closer grocery store because then I can park in a single parking lot and go to more than one store at the same time by parking once. That little bit is how I manage my whole life.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I said in my book, in The Art of Brandtelling, I said some people seem to know exactly who they are, and everybody knows who they are when they walk in the room. And I've been
By the way, your book is right there on that shelf right there.
I saw it. I appreciate that. And I think about that with you. I think that not only do you have a sense of who you are, but everyone in the room has a sense of who you are. I'm wondering, there are those different brands. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the difference between, say, what you do in Wan Law and maybe what you do in Smith Carroad. How is that different? And then tell us how you got into the BNI and everything as well.
Sure. I would say, since this is the Brandtelling Podcast, the 2 different brands really comes into play because it's to set the expectation of the client. So Smith Carroad, as a law firm, was founded in 1930. And was founded right after the Great Depression for the purposes of debt collection, representing businesses that didn't get paid back in 1930. So we now have 28 people who work in the firm. We have 5 attorneys. We have paralegals, associates who are tracking down, looking for where people are located. We have other people who are looking for assets. All these people and all these different roles and different kinds of legal professionals could contact a client based upon when something is happening. And if someone asks me, if a client says, hey, what's going on with this case? I don't know. I'm not going to know every single thing. I'm not expected to, because we have a law firm behind us. We have a whole group of us. And you will hear, if you hired us, you would hear from different people at different stages. It's not as if there's a one designated customer service representative. You'll hear from different people based upon what's going on. And because the amount of client differences that we have, where it ranges from landlords to contractors to doctors to accountants to lawyers to building suppliers to Fortune 100 companies, because there's such a wide range of businesses that we represent, there's different people who have different expertises. So for that brand, it is a very narrow horizontal across unlimited verticals.
Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it.
So we only do debt collection for businesses from their clients and customers in virtually any industry. As long as you're not paid in cash up front, at some point, someone owes you money, right? And that's Smith Carroad. Wan Law Group, completely different mindset. So you talked in your introduction about Alfred from Batman. Actually, I equate with that a lot. There's a lot of different kind of lawyers in the world. There are some that are very professorial, right? They exude that wisdom, and they've got the horn-rimmed glasses, right? They've got that look and they got that feel. And then they have other attorneys who are you throw them in a courtroom and they're that slick guy winking at people with the custom cufflinks and like that. Then
a Lincoln lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. Or the practice, right? Or suits, right? And then you've got the attorneys who are I'm going to hold your hand with that great bedside manner and take care of you, and that any question you have, you've got their cell phone at 3:00 in the morning, and I'm none of those attorneys. What am I? I got you. You got that problem? I got you. You're not going to call me at 3:00 in the morning. I'm not picking up. I'm sleeping. Probably. But in all likelihood, the problem you have, I have the solution. I'm going to implement that solution. I'm going to get that done.
So in that same vein, when most lawyers introduce themselves and they get asked, what do you do? And they say, I'm a lawyer. It doesn't seem like that's what your answer is.
No, it's not.
So what is your go-to answer when people ask you, what do you do?
I'm a problem solver.
Interesting. And so how do you usually expand on that when they ask you, well, what do you mean?
What problem are you trying to solve in your business? Someone might say, oh, I'm having trouble with figuring out my profit and loss statement. All right, then go talk to some accounting professionals who can help you with that. Oh, I'm having trouble hiring. Great. I'll direct you to, I know some recruiters. I know some tactics that you can employ. But wait, you're having trouble getting paid? Okay, Smith Carroad can help you actually get paid, but why aren't you getting paid in the first place? Is your contract wrong? Is your contract enforceable? Is there a problem with that? Or the other thing that people forget a lot is your sale as a brand, as a business, starts with that agreement. So some people say, oh, I downloaded something from the internet, or they come at you with a 30-page contract to hang a chandelier.
Wait, Claude wrote it for me.
Right. Oh, but he's a really high-powered lawyer in Manhattan who's been practicing law for 40 years. That's the impression, right? Whereas, no, mine is, no, I got you. I got it covered. I've got a little trademark, is your business covered? COVIRED.
I saw that.
I can talk about that a little later if you want. But I think the idea here is that the difference in what you're talking about is that I find out what the problem is, I'll get to the root cause of the problem, and I'm going to solve that problem. And I'm going to solve it fast, and I'm going to solve it right. And if I don't know how to solve it, I'm going to get someone else who will.
I love this because, Saf and I often talk about, so what is a brand? And everyone's like, they default, it's the logo, it's the color, it's the website. Asaf's a visual artist. He'll say it's none of those things. And I'll agree. It's really the promise that you make to your customer, to your partners, to your employees about, what you're going to do. And in this case, the problem that you're going to solve.
Right.
And that's a really great way to look at it. And what's the problem that you're going to solve? There's so many companies that they seem to have, they're like a solution in search of a problem. That's not a great business model, but I am the solution for the problems that you have. And if I'm not, I can direct you to the right person. That's also interesting. And that might lead into the BNI.
Yeah, so that's a Wan Law Group brand. That's the mindset. And the reason why it's my name front and center is because the expectation is you're getting me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I've got some people helping me behind the scenes, but you're getting me. If someone wants me to draft a contract or review a contract, I'm the one typing in the Microsoft Word document. I'm not giving that to a paralegal or an associate attorney or even my law partner. Whereas in Smith Carroad, the brand is Smith Carroad. Those guys founded the firm in 1930. The brand is not me. The brand is the fact that we have a firm that's been doing this for almost 95 years, representing businesses for collections.
And you've got a process, and you're carrying that
That's
through
right.
into a legacy.
And exactly, it's the legacy behind it. And I may step in as the CEO with strategy, with modernizing, with those kind of running the business aspects of it. But on a day-to-day basis, I'm not handling files. I don't need to. We've got a system. We know how to do it, and we do it well. Wan Law Group, different story, because there's a myriad of problems you could have. Smith Carroad, there's one problem. My business didn't get paid.
Right.
And we've got the solution.
And how long has Wan Law Group been open?
About 8 years.
And so Arthur mentioned to me that you were a trained actor. And I would love to know
You want to hear that story?
how you went from trained actor to lawyer extraordinaire.
Sure. Extraordinary. I like that. No, I'm happy to tell you that story. I was a quiet kid growing up, believe it or not.
I don't.
No one ever does. When I was in 4th grade, I got the lead in the play Around the World in 80 Days, musical theater. And I remember years later, I asked the teacher, how come you gave me the lead? I didn't audition. You just gave roles out. She told me that she was giving roles based on who had the highest grades in class. So the higher the grade, she figured they could memorize the lines. Because you're talking about 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds.
That is logical.
Right? But you're talking about 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds. So the kids who had higher grades could potentially memorize the lines. Makes sense. So I remember standing on stage and getting a standing ovation, because that's what you give 9-year-olds. I mean,
that was it.
Yep.
but it doesn't matter who it is, right? Your parents, you're going to give the 9-year-olds a standing ovation. And I remember standing on stage going, ooh, I like this. So I took 12 years of voice acting classes in high school. In junior high school, I was always the lead. I was always, I was the king or the villain or the dad, always.
So you have a super diaphragm.
Yeah, well, you can hear it. I have a bass range in a singing voice. And then I went to college for theater. I also took political philosophy. That was great. That was my double major, political theory. But I was drama kid. The other thing is, most drama kids don't necessarily have the presence that I do. So I had a unique presence. And so I thought it was going to be wonderful. And I thought I was going to be famous. And everyone said, oh, it was going to be great. And I tried out for Broadway shows and about 24 auditions and got nothing.
Standing in line at Pearl Studio
Yeah,
and
nothing.
Ripley Studios and nothing.
Thank you, we'll call you. Nothing. So after about 24 failed auditions, my grandfather says, law school or business school? All right, I'm going to go to law school. So I went to law school for entertainment law. And I worked at some pretty big companies, which I'll refrain from saying what the brands are. But there was one large entertainment place that I was living in Brooklyn and commuting into Manhattan. And I was in the office till 10 o'clock one night. And then the next day I get there at 9:05 and the supervisor says, you're late. And I said, well, it was subway troubles. And they say to me, well, you should have planned better. And I said, I was here at 10 o'clock last night, except I threw in some expletives. And so the supervisor says, well, I'm writing you up for insubordination now. And I get called into HR and talked to, and I just said to myself, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I tried another different place, another large, big entertainment music industry. And nope, no, not for me. I can't do this. I'm not a good employee. So
That's not so surprising.
yeah, you can tell that. You don't know me very, very well, but you can tell I'm not a good employee. So I went to the artist side of things. I would go to CBGB's, the Continental, Arlene Grocery. I'd stand in the back of the room in a $50 suit, trying to get press kits to take bands and try to get them door to door to try to get them record deals. I like to eat and I like to pay rent, so stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Came running back home to my parents' house and in Dix Hills. Looked for any job I could find to help pay some student loans,
Sure.
put some things together. And there was this firm, Smith Carroad, 7 minutes from my house. I don't know what debt collection is. I don't know what collection law is, but it's 7 minutes from my house and it'll pay some student loans. And so I applied, got a job there, and that was 24 years ago.
Wow.
So the interesting thing about that was in 2017, when my senior partner died, Bob Levy. I became a partner in 2009. I joined the firm in 2000. When he died in 2017, we had 11 full-time employees, and now we have 28.
Wow.
And we're sitting here right now. We're in a building that we bought in 2022.
In the most gorgeous office.
Thank you. We were renting a small suite in Comac that was 4,000 square feet. And then when we were growing, we bought this building. So we're here now. And I think it kind of expresses my personality to be out here.
I agree. Having a tour of the building, I think your personality is all over the place, but in a very classy, subtle way.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was really great getting to walk through. And we're going to come back in just a moment and talk a little bit more to Tim Wan. Hey there, if you're like most business owners or founders, you may find that after time, your brand has undergone some type of change. Maybe you've launched a new product, a new service, or a new location, or perhaps you've acquired some new talent or capability.
And now your team is struggling to communicate what makes your brand different and what sets you apart as the right choice.
And that's why Asaf and I have launched the Brand Building Bootcamp. It's a focused workshop where we reimagine, refresh, rebuild, and relaunch your entire brand.
We're essentially helping you become a category of one.
The Brand Building Bootcamp gives you a refreshed brand storybook, visual identity, magnetic website, and the tools for connecting your content with your audiences to increase your bottom line.
Arthur, don't forget, we're delivering all this in 30 days or less.
Yeah, no pressure.
Well, we're limiting the bootcamp to only a few clients each month. So if you're interested, let us know.
Yeah, if this sounds interesting, you can learn more at thebrandbuildingbootcamp.com and schedule a no-obligation brand chat with me and Asaf.
And now, let's get back to our podcast.
Okay, and we're back with Tim Wan. Tim, before we took a break, you were talking about your past as an actor and then musical rep and some of your journey there as you moved into law. Thinking about the different roles that you've had as a lawyer and the different lawyers that you've worked with, what do you think is the impact that a lawyer has on the brand, or maybe the relationship a lawyer can have with you and with your brand that has such a great impact?
I think there is a huge impact, and I think it's something that if you're a lawyer listening to this, you probably don't even have that thought, right? Because there's so many law firms out there that are just a listing of names.
Yeah.
And if there is a partner who is deceased or partner leaves, they take the name off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a listing of names. So there's nothing to differentiate one law firm from another. And I think that's a big struggle. So there's got to be other methods that's done. I will say that a big part of it is how I dress. I think I commented to you guys. I've known both of you for a little while. And I think I commented and joked that I don't think you've ever seen me not in a suit.
Right.
Because especially in this day and age, especially post 2020, where a lot of people have gone more casual, where some businesses, especially law offices, have gone to business casual, if not casual.
Right.
I steered the other direction. And I said, you know what? If I'm out there for business, you're going to see me in a perfect suit every single time. I may not be the best looking guy in the world, and I may be could afford to lose a few pounds, but I'm going to be in a really well-dressed, proper suit. And that's part of the brand, right?
Yep.
The brands go crazy for a sharp-dressed man. I think I'm paraphrasing.
That's right. But I think that's what happens, and that's lost, especially when a lot of attorneys come together and they kind of race to the middle, right? Especially if attorneys are wearing just a polo shirt and jeans or a polo shirt and slacks or khakis and a blue button down. And what's going to differentiate and what's the difference between one lawyer and the other? And you can't tell that until you've hired them in many cases.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's my goal to kind of make me different.
I work with a lot of managed service providers. These guys represent other brands, Cisco and HPE, IBM. And I once had one of the vendors say, my biggest challenge with working with these MSPs is if I have a group in the room and somebody turned off the lights, I couldn't tell the difference between one and the other. Right. I said, that's really horrible. These guys have these dynamic brands. They do something in either their local region or something. And if you can't tell them apart, what have you done? I've talked to other attorneys, especially those who do IP. They seem to really get the idea and the challenge, especially if they're doing trademarks or patents. Right. They say, listen, we try to protect your brand. And we really mean that.
Right.
Your brand may be nothing more than the name, the tagline, that IP that you have, that capital. And we try to protect that. That's what I think is kind of our role as branding guys, was try to protect the brand, try to set it up for a way that it's as strong as it can be.
Right. I mean, I do some trademark work as well, but it's the same mindset is I got it covered. That's my brand, is you're covered. Whether it's making sure that your IP is protected, whether it's making sure the contract is set up right, whether it's making sure that you've got the right business entity in place, I got you covered.
Privacy policy on your webpage.
Things like that. We do a lot of that.
Things that people don't think about a lot of the times.
Right.
What kind of experience do you want your brand to leave with the people that you're working with?
I'm trusting Tim. He's got it. I don't have to worry about it. My problem's going to be solved. Sooner or later, he's got it.
Right.
And that's the impression I think I give, is that I got it.
I would say the confidence is one of the first things I noticed about you when I first saw you speaking, before I was even introduced to you at one of the BNI events. And definitely you stood out of all the people that were there.
Not just because I'm a fat Chinese guy.
No.
Although I do stand out because I'm a fat Chinese guy.
So Asaf's mentioned BNI. Maybe you can talk a little bit about your role in the local BNI and how that's developed.
Yeah, I joined BNI. I was looking for networking. I was trying to expand and increase, our client base. And traditional marketing methods just really didn't work. When we would advertise, when we do things on the internet, we were finding that we were getting calls like, I lent money to my ex-girlfriend. Can you sue them? No. My roommate won't pay a share of the rent, or my neighbor's tree fell on my fence. No, that wasn't working. We got a lot of those kind of cold calls.
Confused people.
Yeah, or people who just see debt, and they don't really understand.
That stems from bad marketing, not related to your brand.
Yeah.
So we decided to not do things like that, and instead look at referral marketing, which was through in-person networking. I found several different groups, and the one that I landed with 12 years ago was BNI, because I liked the level of accountability in that particular organization. I liked that there was no negative reinforcement, but a lot of positive reinforcement that then caused those that were underperforming to feel guilty. There was a lot of recognition. Like, look how great you are. You look at the 3 people who got awards for this. Oh, right. Here are the stats that everybody has. And then if you are on the bottom, you look at that and go, wow.
Guilty by disassociation.
Exactly. There's 40 people in a particular chapter and you're number 39. You like that? No, you want to break out of that. Right. And I think that that's a different way than other groups where it might be, oh, you didn't give a referral, then put $10 in the jar.
Right. And I think that taps into the business owner mindset, where we generally don't want to be the last one in anything. We want to try to be the first in almost everything. I find that very common amongst people that have left corporate, and have opened up their own business.
That's right.
And the thing that we try to do is we try to work with those founders, those owners, to help them be a category of one, to help them really break out what they do. Because there's a lot of Me Tooism out there with, I'm going to be this, me too, I'm going to be this, or also rans, and I would say you don't want to be you don't want to be, stronger, better, faster. That's just the same thing, but a little bit more. You want to be different.
Right.
You want to be that category. And that's what I really like when I say, so what do you do? Well, I'm a problem solver. Why do you ask?
I don't think there's anybody quite that does what I do.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting is, and over the last 24 years of being at Smith Carroad doing debt collection, there's a lot of debt collection law firms out there that represent giant credit card companies and banks and financial institutions that do that very, very well. We don't do any of that. And then there's solo practitioners who help the mom and pop shop occasionally, but they don't have the mechanism behind it that we do. So if you look around in the industry, there is nobody our size that does what we do. None. It doesn't exist. If they do exist, they're hiding from us, because the big guys will get a potential client. Let's say it's a small medical practice or a nursing home or an accountant that has maybe 10 or 15 cases that they need to collect on. They don't want it. They want the bank that has 10,000 cases a month. So they don't know what to do with those 15 cases. They give it to us. They refer it to us. And then you have the solo practitioners who don't have, or the smaller firms, or the people who are dabbling in debt collection. They don't have the level of compliance that's needed in this industry. So that's why Smith Carroad is unique. Wan Law Group is unique because I have that Smith Carroad background.
Right.
So I know the problems that have caused litigation. So Wan Law Group is almost, I said problem solver, but I might even say preventative maintenance, or make sure that your business has those things in place in the event of a problem. Now we've got it.
Like a problem avoider rather than a problem solver.
Right. It's like getting oil changes on your car so your engine doesn't seize,
exactly.
Right? So let's make sure that your contract is up to date, because the law may have changed. And if your contract is 30 years old, it may not reflect what's enforceable today.
So, Tim, how do you envision both brands, Smith Carroad and Tim Wan Law Group, evolving over the next 5-10 years?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that you said Tim Wan Law Group because you're thinking that the brand is Tim Wan, and that really is true. But I'll get to that in a second. The Smith Carroad brand, what we're trying to do with that is this niche that we have of serving that small business owner, that mom and pop shop, that middle business owner, which may not be attractive to other law firms. We are actually ourselves finding the opportunity to expand to other states. We currently have a network of attorneys across the country. So if, for example, if someone moved to Jersey, we could go to Jersey and send it to that local counsel. We still quarterback it. We're still the point of contact for the client, but we've got someone in Jersey. We've got 7 people in Jersey. We've got
because you have to have somebody who's passed bar in the state where they are.
We've got tons of people in Florida, California, Illinois, as you'd expect. Maybe not someone in a rural county in Montana. Maybe we don't have someone, but we can try. And that's through some of the other organizations that I belong to. You mentioned my award, that's the Commercial Law League of America. They have been in existence since 1895. So there's a huge network of attorneys across the country that do sort of what we do. So we're able to farm to them. The problem is the industry is getting smaller and more people are finding it more profitable to represent the banks. So you have these firms that do the big stuff. The little guys are going away. And in certain states, we're seeing a gap where there is no real alternative or people that don't do what we do. So the only way to do it is to do it ourselves. So that's how Smith Carroad is expanding itself. And the brand is going to, I'm not going to say national firm, but it's certainly going to be more than just New York, which it is right now. And we've started that. We've started the path. We're currently, we're in Connecticut, and that's the second state.
That's fantastic.
As far as the Wan Law Group brand, you had the little slip saying Tim Wan brand. It really is the Tim Wan brand. So it's really hard to scale that because when people are hiring Wan Law Group, the expectation is me. And that's how I branded it, is that you're getting me. It's my face on the business card. It's my name on the door. At the end of the day, it's me sitting here in an office with 2 different inboxes, right? But 2 different inboxes on my email. But the expectation of the client is different. So I don't know that in 5-10 years, I can expand Wan Law Group. I don't see me being able to scale that portion of it. Even if I found someone else, they don't have my background. They don't have my theater experience. They don't have the failures that I went through to get where I am that built to what I am now. I have some clients who have hired me and stay with me simply because they know that I've got the unique perspective of the path that I've taken. So while the Smith Carroad machine can move forward with or without me, that'll be harder without me,
right?
But it'll continue without me. It could easily continue without me and expand without me.
But not Wan Law.
Not Wan Law Group. There's clients of mine who have hired me as general counsel simply to be their Alfred, just to be there. They pay me a flat amount every month to be ready. And if they have to, call the bat phone, they call me. I've got it. I've got them.
What I like about Alfred was he wasn't the deferential butler. He did not put up with Batman's crap. He would tell him off.
Yeah. Alfred from the Gotham TV show. That's the one that I identify with.
So, Tim, my favorite part of the podcast is coming up. And with you, it's going to be a little interesting. So I need to know, or I would like to know, what's the spiciest client story you're legally allowed to tell us?
Oh, man, I can definitely tell you this. It's a great story. We represented a guy whose wife or then girlfriend and I went to college together. And he was an artist in Harlem. And he was interning for an off-Broadway show where they had some very avant-garde pieces of art. And the Broadway show, the off-Broadway show has become world-renowned. The interesting thing is the owners of the show, the guys who wrote it, the main principals, saw a sculpture that he had made and said, hey, can we use it in the show? And he said, sure, how much are you going to pay me? And they said, no, just let us use it for free. We'll give you credit in the program. He said, no, thanks. A couple of years later, a friend of his calls him and says, hey, your sculpture is in the Las Vegas production. It looks great. And he goes, what are you talking about? How do you know it's mine? Well, they gave credit to you in the program.
Whoa.
Ooh.
So the attorney on the other side is the same attorney. So we filed a lawsuit. He comes to me. Nobody will take his case. We take it on a contingency fee, which is we don't get paid unless we collect. But I was so confident in the copyright infringement that I said, I'll take it on a contingency fee. The attorney on the other side was the attorney who represents major New York museums, giant law firm with hundreds and hundreds of lawyers. And here it is, little old me fighting him in court. And he was trying to run circles around me, trying to fight me. And I remember the judge looking at both of us at a conference, and the federal court judge stops, looks at us, and says, "Mr. Wan, can you step outside the courtroom? I want to talk to your opposing counsel alone." I said, "Of course. When the judge tells you to do that, you do that."
Yeah.
I walked out. I came back, and he's like, and he told the opposing counsel to step outside, and he wanted to talk to me. And he says, "I understand what you're doing. I agree with what you're doing. You have a very creative argument." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, the statutory damages for copyright infringement is $150,000. That's right. But you're arguing that because the show ran for whatever it was, a year and a half, and there were 7 shows a week or 8 shows a week, you're arguing now that they owe you whatever it is, 365 times 150,000.
I love that.
And so my damages were several million." And I said, "That's right. Because each time they showed it, it's to a new audience. It's a new infringement." And he goes, "Well, that's not the point of the statute." And I went, "All right, let's go to trial. Let's see what the jury thinks." And he goes, "You realize who you're up against?" And I said, "I do. I'd like to do this." Well, the bottom line is we settled the case. And the reason why I wanted to talk to both of us is because he got an offer of settlement from the other attorney. And he later on told me, it's like, because I told that attorney that you're going to lose. It's a matter of how much you pay. You have no defense, right? That was the approach the judge was taking. So how much are you going to pay him now? Or are you going to go through this and cost your client all this money in attorney's fees? Ultimately, the artist in Harlem was super happy. He and his girlfriend got married, and he actually toasted me at one point in saying, "We were able to pay for this wedding because of what Tim Wan got for us." So that's a little spicy, a little crazy.
I
but it's
love the
very
story. Not
spicy.
only is it spicy, but it really does talk to the work you do to defend the brand. You know, this guy's brand was his work. That was so recognizable that somebody he went to school with saw it and recognized
That's
it
right.
in another state and said, "That's you," right?
Yep.
You know, and knew it. And so I think that, you know, that kind of work, it's invaluable. It is, you know, I think the work we do, you know, trying to build a brand is one thing, but defending that brand every day,
Against
against whatever, against other
insurmountable
brands
odds.
sometimes,
That's right.
you know, that's a great story.
That's fantastic.
Well, listen, Tim, why don't you tell our audience how to get in touch with you? You know, what are all your socials and your
Sure.
websites?
Well, it's wanlawgroup.com or smithcarroad.com, CARROAD, like car drives on a road.com. So smithcarroad.com is for debt collection. Wan Law Group is to see if your business is protected, and I got your business covered. I'm also on social and Instagram, The Real Tim Wan.
The Real Tim Wan.
Excellent. And we'll have links for everything on the description. So for Arthur Germain, myself, Asaf the Brand Chef Bachman, and Tim Wan, thank you everybody for joining us on the Brandtelling Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for the Brandtelling Podcast. If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on the podcast, please send us an email at podcast@brandtelling.com.